This painting is called The Disciples Peter and John Running to the Tomb, and it's by Eugene Burnand. It's a different painting from the usual depictions of Easter. There's no figure of the risen Christ in it, nor are there any witnesses standing by, gazing up in wonder. This painting is full of movement, and essentially it captures that moment between being told something that's truly amazing and fully believing it. To set the scene, Mary Magdalene has just told the followers of Jesus that he is not in the tomb. These followers have been in hiding, living in fear for their lives, trying to come to terms with the awful events of the last few days, and they're in mourning for their friend. Mary's news must have hit them like a lightning bolt. And as ever, Peter is first up, rushing out of the hiding place, perhaps exchanging a quick glance with John, who runs out after him. It's very early in the morning, and dawn is breaking in the sky above them. They're running through open country, and as they speed along the road, a light breeze rushes over them, blowing out their cloaks and ruffling up their hair. You can see them almost leaning forwards into the run in their eagerness to get to the tomb. However, the impact of the past few days can clearly be seen on the face of Peter. The older of the two men, he looks emotionally worn out, exhausted by the events around Jesus' death. He could even be in shock, still traumatised by everything he's experienced. His expression shows how torn he is inside between the guilt that he carries at betraying Jesus and the hope which is starting to rise in his chest, over which he has placed his hand. As he runs, he's searching for meaning in Mary's message. And you can see in his furrowed brow, it's almost as if he's trying to remember all those things that Jesus said about his death, about him rising again. His eyes are wide open in suspense at the possibility Jesus could be alive. What on earth can he say to Jesus? And what will Jesus say to him? John presents an entirely different response to Mary's message. He's clothed in shining white, symbolising innocence and new life. He didn't abandon Jesus. He followed him to the cross and witnessed his death. John is gazing ahead, intent on what he may find at the tomb, and he too is trying to remember those words of Jesus. There's a real sense of anticipation and longing in John. You can see in his clasped hands that he really wants this news to be true. Please, please let it be true. There's a yearning in him to see the risen Jesus, and John is beginning to believe the unbelievable. He is beginning to hope. Of course, we know what awaits them at the tomb, but what must it have been like to have seen it with your own eyes? The rolled up linen cloth laid neatly by, the huge stone rolled away lying on the ground, the emptiness. We know that John waited at the entrance and that Peter strode right in, but I wonder what else they did. They must have looked at each other in amazement. Maybe they laughed as the truth finally began to dawn on them. Perhaps they collapsed to their knees in astonishment. I hope that they embraced and hugged each other, and I hope Peter cried tears of joy as he realised that all was changed. The past was done, and that he too was born again, forgiven in a new life. Today we too have arrived at that empty tomb. Perhaps after all this time, we're too used to hearing the Easter story. But the resurrection demands some kind of response from us, just as it did from Peter and John. Like them, we too have been gifted a new life. What you do with it is entirely up to you.